Welcome back to Author Mastery Insights with Dr. Stephen Franson. Dr. Stephen, welcome, my friend. It's always great to connect.
What's up, Dr. Marcus? Great to be here, man.
I love this. And for those not familiar with the quiet achievements of this incredible human being, founder of the remarkable practice, chiro matchmakers as well, strong involvement in Chiropractic Defense Council, but for all he has done, one of the most influential chiropractors on the planet. He is also a best-selling author of this classic book, The Remarkable Practice, and I'm very humbled and very excited to have my own signed edition here. It means the world to me. But for all he's done within chiropractic, full disclosure here on a personal level, one of the most influential people in my life, the CEO program that the Remarkable Practice does, making sure that chiropractors take ownership and leadership of their practices to become, a chief executive officer, to have that independence and freedom. On a personal level, my gratitude and appreciation, certainly it has changed my life. My ability to be here doing these interviews, to serve the profession, comes as a result of the type of thinking and leadership that Dr. Stephen provides. So firstly, full disclosure, great mentor of mine, incredible human being, but we're going to talk books. So Dr. Steve,
you're very welcome, man. It's very fulfilling to hear that. And it's the greatest thank you is watching you live all this out. So you are very, very welcome.
Yeah, I love it. I appreciate it. This book, I've read it cover to cover. I listened to your podcast all the way through, which is a reinforcement of this. What was the purpose of writing a book on a remarkable practice?
Well, truth be told, I'm subject to procrastination as much as the next person. And I know I've got 2 or 3 or 4 books in me, but my oldest, my son Samuel, is 18 now, just graduated high school, getting ready to go off to university. He's going to Liberty for his undergrad, and he's threatening to become a chiropractor himself. So when I heard that, I was like, okay, I have to do it. I have to do it now. So I wrote the book, The Remarkable Practice, a definitive guide to creating the business that will support your remarkable life, not compete with it. And I wrote it for him. I wrote it for Sam. And that made it, I won't say easy, but it really made it easier to just visualize like what I would have wanted to hear, what I needed to hear, everything I wanted to pour into my boy to make sure that he lived a life that was on purpose and extraordinary and fulfilling, and where he could make the biggest impact and just save him, the time and the energy and the money and the pain that, it took to, figure what I've learned in my 25 years of screwing it up every way to Sunday, and then finally figuring it out and reproducing it, and then teaching, thousands of other chiropractors to reproduce the success that his mother, my wife, Dr. Camilla, and I have enjoyed in the original Remarkable Practice in Boston, and have subsequently taught doctors all around the world how to reproduce what we've done. So had to capture it in a book. And man, it feels good to get a book out of your system. It's certainly a legacy play, but it's in retrospect, I hope he'll consider it just a fantastic gift from his loving dad.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it is a beautiful gift. Firstly, to your son, and now that both of my boys are in Australian Chiropractic College, I hope that blessing comes to you, to Sam, because there's incredible. I love watching your social media with the love that you share with your family and the stories that unfold there. It's always special, and he's an incredible boy with an amazing future. Let's pray that chiropractic has another great steward amongst its ranks soon. So,
thanks.
But I love that from the perspective of your son, a wonderful legacy that'll be there for him. For the people who get to read it, I've read it, as I said, it offers such incredible insight. I mean, you talk about throughout all the remarkable practice, you talk about this wonderful little icon down there, the Rubik's Cube, and that's enmeshed within the content of the book. So what's the message that you want people to know and understand that's encapsulated within these pages?
It's a great question, Marcus. I think my strength is being able to take really complicated things and simplifying them into constructs that people can understand and just apply and implement. So you're referring to the Rubik's Cube, which is my take on solving the puzzle of practice success and really business success. And the long story made short is I just recognize that solving the puzzle of practice success is not as simple as, a jigsaw puzzle where it's unidimensional. There's an image, you put 300 pieces together and it looks like the box that it came in. It's like, I wish it were that simple. Everybody who hears me say that always smiles and says, yeah, no, that ain't it. Right. So a much better and more accurate metaphor is the Rubik's Cube, right? So it's this 6-sided, incredibly challenging and fluid, dynamic puzzle that we all know what the Rubik's Cube is. It's like, you can get one side right and the rest of it is completely jacked up. You can solve, the whole thing. And then as soon as one side gets screwed up, it jacks up the whole puzzle, right? So I just think it's the perfect metaphor for, what we face as business owners, as practitioners, as chiropractors, as practice owners. This is a tricky thing. And, just like solving the Rubik's Cube, there's a methodology that you can follow that actually makes it much, much easier to do. And anybody can solve it once you know the method.
And you've actually distilled that method beautifully. I love it. Well, firstly, the book does it, and you have taken complex, made it simple, if not elegant, accessible without doubt. And then you reinforce that again with the Remarkable Practice Academy, Remarkable Practice Immersions, Remarkable Practice Coaching, and then obviously the podcast, which really continues to reinforce the message contained within here. So it makes it accessible. And I love what you do with the Rubik's Cube, because again, you move it this way and you can get the side right, but everything else is wrong. You mentioned that. But the other part is it's moving all the time. So when you're trying to correct one side, one of the faces, the other ones are moving as well. And you're saying, well, am I actually systematically correcting everything simultaneously? Or am I trying to fix one thing at one point that undermines what I'm trying to do in other areas of the practice? And without a blueprint, without a pathway of success, it limits your ability to do that. Certainly it's not effortlessly, but you can do it more consciously and deliberately. And I love the book because it represents a blueprint for that. Thanks, so you're welcome. When people utilize the book, what kind of feedback? I mean, obviously I'm giving my feedback here, but you've spoken to other people. It became a bestseller. There's a lot of love for what this book has done. What type of feedback have you received? What are the messages you're getting from people immersing themselves into this book?
Well, I think the number one thing I get is people get confidence, right? So that they recognize that it's like, okay, this is like, it is eating an elephant. Right? So it's like, yes, it is. And if you tease it apart in such a way, you can get clarity, right? So when you get clarity is your greatest accelerator, right? So when people lack clarity, there's such a struggle and strife for everything. So lack of clarity slows everything down and makes everything harder. So, the way we approach it, the 6 sides as you break it down is vision story. Like, what does success look like for you? It's like, that's step 1. Get clear on what does success look like to you as a practitioner. In other words, based on your core values, what does success look like now? What's it look like next? We call it 12 months from now. And ultimately for you, that might be 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, what have you, right? So helping them get clarity is a critical piece. Always, anything that's worthwhile, any worthwhile work always begins with a clear vision, right? So then it's leadership, which is, who do you need to become, right? So what attributes do you need to work on? What muscles do you need to develop to become the next level of leader who will predictably be able to attract and sustain that next iteration of your vision story? And people find that very, very helpful, because that introspection is just so critical, that we go within and we just face brutal facts. Like, these are the things that got me where I am, and they're exactly the things that are going to prevent me from getting to the next level. So I really think that that's a fruitful exercise, if you will, thought exercise. And then you get into systems, which, for me, I'm the systems guy. Everything has to be systematized, not just because I'm OCD, but because I want predictable positive outcomes, right? And I want things that are scalable and durable. In other words, you can reproduce these outcomes regardless of who you are, what your personality is, where you practice in the world, what your applied philosophy is in your practice. You have to systematize everything. So getting that sense of systematizing the entire practice, and then we get a bit more granular with like attraction and marketing and lead generation, systematizing all of that. And then conversion processes, to systematize your conversion process so that you can focus on the human being in front of you and you, again, enjoy those predictable positive outcomes. And then there's retention, which of course is such an elusive thing for so many practitioners. And that was our biggest strong suit. Our patients started with us and stayed forever, right? So, we broke that down. I systematized that. So because my heart is that people should use chiropractic as a lifelong lifestyle success strategy for healthy human beings. It's not this short-term treatment modality that you pop in and out of, right? So I'm trying to teach people how to systematize that, right? So it feels a bit unnatural. So you can't leave it to chance. You have to have mechanisms that protect that retention. So we teach that. And then, of course, my favorite subject matter, which is team building, which is the next side of the Rubik's Cube, right? So putting together a world-class team so that you can actually get that scalability and durability. I like to say you don't have to be awesome at everything. You have to build a team that's awesome at everything. And we show you how to do that. And then finally, there's fifth is training, which is training and developing that world-class team in those world-class systems. And then finally, there's the energy, right? Sixth side of the Rubik's Cube, which means what's important now. What should we focus on? What should we put our time, energy, focus, and money towards to manifest the next iteration of the business, right? So it gives you those 6 sides of the Rubik's Cube to make it really practical and tactical so you can actually apply it. So as you can imagine, that's a pretty broad spectrum of material. So I get all kinds of feedback other than, the most common being, I appreciated you gave me such clarity in blank, and then it's fill in the blank. I get a lot of joy out of that because I know that that's going to accelerate their success.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And as I said, it's a great blueprint because it gives you not only the Rubik's Cube in terms of all of the elements of that, it gives you the ability to understand that, to action changes. When you said the first thing that came to mind, and probably the longer lasting part about that, which was my area of weakness, was when you said, you got to confront the brutal facts. And for me, that was looking at our KPIs, our key performance indicators, and actually measuring those changes. And the book details that all the presentations you do lead down to that part, is to measure what you're doing, because, I think you've said it, and great leaders always say it, is, if you want something to change, you've got to measure it. And that was really hard for me because I'm a vision person, I'm a high energy person, but the attention to detail, that you cover all of these elements in a simplistic way, not a simple way, but simplistic. You take the complex, make it simple and accessible, and you detail those indicators that you can measure to ensure you're moving in that direction, which I think is such a gift to chiropractors, so that they can find a way to overcome. In those 6 areas, everyone will have a challenge, an area that they're not comfortable with, don't feel confident about, but you give them the guidance to find a way to make that possible for them. And, I know you call it the vital signs, and we constantly look to improve in that area. And, talking with Pete Camiolo as well, that's an area that we've got to develop even further, but you do it well, and I appreciate that.
It's a tough one, Marcus, and I appreciate you pointing that out because, it's not natural for me. Like, everybody's like, oh, you're the metrics guy and KPIs and scorecards. And I'm like, actually, if you pay attention to the way we teach in the Remarkable Practice, it's always heart, head, hands, feet, right? So, and the heart is the mission and the purpose. And, we always start with the heart, and I recognize that as much as I'm allergic to Excel spreadsheets, man. To this day, I don't build Excel spreadsheets. I have people on my team that I'm like, I need an Excel spreadsheet that does this and looks like this. I swear to you, I just don't do it, but I know how to read it. Right. So what I recognize is you don't get what you want, you get what you measure. Right. And, I knew the impact I wanted to make in my community, and now the impact that we want to make in chiropractic, and it has to be data driven. Right. So, you cannot just run a practice on gut and instinct. If you do that, you have a job. Right. So if you really want to have a business, you have to have data. And, making the ascension from owner operator to CEO is an identity shift. And one element is that you have to recognize that God gave us a great instinct, and it's got us to where we are. But we have to be 1 part gut, 2 parts data, if we're going to really be able to build a business, right? That's going to reach our potential and be able to make the kind of impact that we want to make, and of course the income that we want to make. So as soon as I recognized that there was requisite fluency in data, and when the metrics became the matrix and it told the story of my community, then I mastered those KPIs. And I'm glad to hear that it's resonating with you, because it's coming from somebody where I had to learn that. That's not instinctual, and it wasn't my natural talent.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel the same way, but I know, in order for me to have that independence, I need to have ways of understanding the practice. And it's been a long journey to get there, but I would not have done it without you, without Dr. Pete, without Dr. Bobby. It's worth it, and I appreciate that. As we've spoken about the influence that this book and the contents can have on practitioners, and and creating a remarkable practice as part of a remarkable life. I'm just going to phrase you there. They're your words, not mine. But on your level, what has it done for the remarkable practice business? Now, you have so many ways in which you serve chiropractic, as I said, from the podcast to the academy to the coaching to the immersions. Your book being an aspect of that. How does having a book serve you, the remarkable practice, the message it has, and the impact it can have within chiropractic?
Yeah, so I mean, I think everybody writes a book for the same reason, just generally, is you want to be able to democratize the information that you have in your head, right? You want to make it accessible to everyone. And at that price point, for, I don't know, what is it, $30 or what have you? It's like to be able to get, 26 years of chiropractic business distilled into a book, right? For that kind of money. It's like, there's no excuse, right? You completely obliterate any boundary and barrier for people to be able to get your best, right? So, I mean, that's number one. That is incredibly fulfilling that we've had the ability to influence more chiropractors that way. But really, from a business perspective, it's so extraordinary how many people come into the remarkable practice through the book, right? So they read the book and they're like, okay, I'm in. I was like, I read the book, and I'm like, did you read the book? They're like, yeah, 9 pages in, and I'm in. I'm coming into this organization, right? So, and then, there's others that I read it cover to cover 4 times. I've downloaded all of the free giveaways. Like the book, as you know, is loaded with QR codes. It just allows you to download all these tools. And, there's so many supportive materials that I just wanted to over deliver with it so people would recognize that's our culture, right? So it was like, there's so much there that I think people realize, wow, I didn't know what I didn't know. And can you guys, can you guys help me with this? Like, can you guys help me implement it? And most importantly, Marcus, it's accountability. Like people come into the remarkable practice because they know we've got a great brand and a great reputation for being experts, but really they hire us and they pay us for accountability, right? So we can tell you what to start doing and stop doing and then send you off into the world, and we all know where that goes, right? So you need somebody who's going to come alongside you, right, and be your champion, and somebody who's going to be really clear on what you're trying to manifest and what your vision story of success is, somebody who knows you have a relationship with, right? And they're whatever it takes to help you realize those goals. I like to say it's hugs, high fives, or headlocks, whatever it's going to take. You'll probably get a bit of a mixed bag, but at the end of the day, our job is to hold you accountable just to doing the things that you need to do. And that's really the power of good coaching, is somebody who recognizes what you're trying to accomplish, knows you well, comes alongside you and holds you accountable to doing the things that you must do to achieve your goals.
That's brilliant. The remarkable practice does that, do incredibly well. And as I said, I just wanted to bring this book out to the public. Guys, if you have not got this, it does not just over deliver, it delivers you exactly what you need in ways that will make a profound and powerful difference. You can get it online, go grab your copy. But before we finish here, Dr. Franson, again, appreciation. This book is great. It's just so compelling and impactful. Chiropractors. They've got a message to share. You've written your book. I've written my book. There are plenty of docs out there that have got a message within them. And when you said there at the beginning, my motivation, my son, I had to get this out because now there was a reason, a motivating, a compelling reason to do it. What's your message to chiropractors who haven't yet written a book, who need to write a book in service of chiropractic in their community? What do you want to share with them?
Yeah, I just want to encourage everyone, really anyone listening to this. I believe that everyone has at least one book in you, right? And there are lots of ways to get a book written or have it done, like the mechanics of creating a book. There's plenty of services that'll help you capture your ideas, your thoughts, your stories, and help you get there. So just, release all the limiting beliefs that you have around, like, it'll be too hard, or I'm not a great writer, or, I don't have a compelling story to tell. Yes, you do. You're a chiropractor, and you have the second most compelling story mankind needs to hear, right? So at the end of the day, you are a messenger, and we have a simple and elegant solution. And your experience of it, how you've internalized it, how you've experienced it, how you've delivered it and lived it out is unique. So tell your story, right? So it is such a, it's a blessing when you have the forced function of codifying your message. You have to organize your thoughts and codify your message. It's going to make you such a better communicator. It's going to help you bring you so much more confidence when it comes to every situation. When anybody asks you anything about chiropractic, your practice, who you are as a leader, it's such a great exercise. And if that book never gets published or bought by one person, it doesn't matter. There's something to be said for birthing a book as a legacy for you, your community, your family, and chiropractic. So that's my word of encouragement. Like I said, hugs, high fives, and headlocks. Maybe that was a bit of a headlock for everybody.
Absolutely. And I think you're absolutely right. Chiropractic can change the world. But if people don't know, understand, or get access to the message of chiropractic, it limits our scope, it limits our influence, and diminishes our impact. We have a story to tell everyone. We've got lives to say, changes to make. Dr. Stephen Franson, you are leading that charge. I am grateful to you for you and the remarkable practice. Everyone, grab the book. Let's go serve the world together. Thank you.
Thanks, brother.